You all can see this, right? Can see this, right? Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the project integration management. The project integration management. Right. What we cover in this project integration management, one is as usual, we start with introductions to the project integration management. And then second, we discuss about how to develop the project charter, this is your first assignment. I will give your assignment next week, not next week, I mean this Wednesday, okay? During the Wednesday class, I will discuss about the project charter, the first assignment, the rubrics, and then how you're going to do this first assignment. And then the number 3, develop the project management plan. We discuss on how to develop the, and then the 4th is the direct and manage the project work. Okay. After that, we continue with manage the project knowledge, and then we perform the integrated change control, and then last one, we close the project or phase. All right. We start with this subchapter 1. So the project integrations. What do you call it? This cartoon you can read yourself. So in the small part, they call it the review and understand the scope of the project is important at the initial stage, as it include the project, product requirements, criteria, assumptions, constraints, and others. Influence without this information, the project is less likely to succeed. Right. Okay. Look into this. What is can be defined as a project integration? Like I said that here, they say that the project management, integration management include the process, activity, and activity. One is a process, another one is activity. Yeah? So we have two. Okay. One, what we call it the process. Okay. The process. The second one is activity. So we have a process and activity. I change. Okay, the process and activity to identify and define, combine and unify. To identify, to define, to combine and unify and coordinates the various process and project management activity within the project management process group. So we have a project management process group. What is a project management process group? One can answer this. What is a project management process group? Right. You answer this in the quiz one. Okay. What is a process? I saw that everybody can answer correctly. This one. So I want to know what is the. Who can answer this? Amir, can you answer this?
Basically the flowchart, how we want to plan for the projects.
No. Nur Ain?
initiating,
Yes.
planning, executing, monitoring, and closing.
Yes, that is a project management process group. Okay, we start with initiating, and then we plan, we execute, we monitor, control and monitor, and final one, we need to close the project. So this is what you mean by the project management process group. Yeah. Ya, nak charge. Bateri saya dah kong. Saya on lama tadi. Lupa masuk. Alright. Alright, so that is what we mean by the project management process group. Alright, the concept, we call it here is a key concept. What is a concept of the project integration management? First, the key concept is combining input for all knowledge area for a complete view. Now we start to discuss the first knowledge area. So for the integration management, as I said in the early class, we're combining all knowledge areas. So means the knowledge area, we have in total 10 knowledge area. So we combine all this knowledge area. And then for a complete view, then we can see the complete of the project management. Specific to project manager. Project integration, our focus is for project manager. So who work as a project manager, they must know the project integration. And then this is not to be delegate or to transfer. The project manager cannot transfer these rules, this integration process. Project manager must know, and then they cannot transfer this responsible to their teams. Okay, they must control this integration process. So the project and the project management is an interactive process. So the concept, we know that the project management is iterative process. What I mean by iterative process means that we complete one, we following by another one. If you can see, if you still remember, in the iterative process, they have a plan, execution, monitor, and then close and all that. This is the integrate. You open back your chapter 1 notes and then you can see this. I discussed it already in the chapter 1. It's about the key concept of integration. The objective of integration is to ensure the deliverables. So anything that we want to deliver later on to our client or to our sponsor, to our stakeholders, we call it. So ensuring the deliverables. If we already said what is the type of deliverables and then the results. So if we make a product, this is a product. Or if service and the project lifecycle approach is aligned. So the keyword is deliverables. This is the most important. We want to make sure that we can deliver this project. A part of it, a part of it, we got the results, and then either the products, service, and also the final one, the project life cycle. Okay. Now it's also about the using the appropriate knowledge and ensuring the objectives are met. That is a project management. The integration management is about to ensuring that we met the objective. This is very important. Because we set the objective. Any project, we must have our own objective. So the objectives must be met. Okay? And then we can managing the integrated decision. Okay, sorry, I think better I use the highlight. I use the highlight. Okay. Managing integration. The highlight also not good because highlight too small. We can use this. Okay, managing and integrate the integrated decision to change. Measuring and monitoring the process, activity, ensuring the correctness and completions. The integrations also, we talk about this. This is about the monitoring, measuring and the monitoring the process. And then we must manage the phase transition. What is phase transition? Phase transition is the process that we have from one to another. So from the execution to the close. So we need to manage this. Okay. All right. The trend, the practice in the project integration management. What we do in the project integration management, we use automated tools in order to control the process, to control the project, to make sure our project successful. So in the project management, we use a automated tool. The tools that normally we use is, we call it the project management information system. And then this will help to integrate the volumes of the data. So how you manage this? Sometimes you they have a software for that, so you need to buy software, and then or sometimes the project management information system, you just use some sort like Excel. Okay, you use the Excel also can. All right. Using visual management tools, like currently, replacing returns plan and document, returns plan or return document. Now we use the visual management tool. One of the tools that we use in the visual management tool to replace the return plans is, we call it the BIM. BIM stands for Building Information. I cannot write using this. I cannot good in writing using the mouse. Information modeling. Okay. Building information modeling. This is now we use to replace written plan or documentations in the project management. And then we making the information available to all team members. Okay. All right. Using the visual, and then project knowledge management, making project information more accessible to a
Test. Hello?
Boleh dengar, boleh dengar.
Okay, sorry. Suddenly my, aduh. Sorry ya. Now you all can hear me? Can?
Yes.
Can ah? Sorry. My internet home Wi-Fi. Now also I got a very low connection. So I switch off my camera in order to avoid any distractions because of very low connections. Okay, wait a minute. All right. So we continue this. Right. All right. So the trend and emerging practice. We expand the project management. Okay, project manager responsibility. Expand the project manager responsibility through the collaborating with the functional and operations team to ensure the project brings about the benefits and align with the company goal. All right. And then also the hybrid technology that we have. And then incorporating new practice, either we use agile in the project management integrations, and we use also the business analysis. This is what the current practice or the current trends. And then the trend is to identify the complex elements in the projects. So we want to see what is the complex things, and then we try to resolve this. Okay, this project integration management is tailored to the tailoring process, is the process to determine the right process, and then the right tools, outputs, and life cycle to manage the projects. Okay, to manage the project. All right. The process and the process of determining the right process tools, outputs, and life cycle to manage a project. Considerations in the project life cycle. We develop life cycle. We develop the life cycle. And then if the project life cycle, we want to see how many phases are appropriate, because normally of the project life cycle they have many phases. Project life cycle. So phase 1 complete, as I said last time. If you go back to Kelantan or you visit the Kelantan, you using the new highway, it takes more than 10 years to complete the whole project, but phase by phase is already completed since 2 years after the project phase 1 phase 1 started or execute. So that is a project life cycle. And then the development of life cycle is appropriate. Is it appropriate for the product service? This is one we want to know. The product service might be not appropriate if you want to look into the development of life cycle. Service needs the agile process. And should it be a predictive, adaptive, or hybrid process? This is we need to ask. Depends on the type of project. Okay. Management approach. So what is an effective process based on the organization culture? This is what we look into the management approach. The changes, how we were going to manage the changes, because the feedback from the customer, the feedback from the stakeholders will direct us in terms of any changes happen in the project management, in the projects. Okay. So how frequent of meeting, status reporting, because the meeting and the status reporting, this is will guide us on the changes. All right, in the project, don't assume that all the project ideals and then you know changes at all. No, along the way we run the project, we must have changes. For sure, we have changes. Right? Who has experience with a project? I think they know. The changes happens every time. We have a meeting and we will face a lot of changes, especially on the plan. Okay, let's say I developed the hospital. When we started the hospital, we start with prepare what we call it in the planning part. We have what we call it the data sheets, room data sheets. Room data sheet actually we I don't know whether I have or not. I share with you. If I try to check. If I have, I will share with you the room data sheets. Wait a minute, I check. If I have, I will share with you what we call it the room data sheets. Last time I have the room data sheet for the hospital project, but maybe after my computer, my computer before I use this current one, my what do you call it, the hard disk for my computer gone, so I need to. I don't have the room data sheets, I think. I don't have room data sheets. If not, I can discuss with you in terms of what is the mean by the changes and all the time. Okay, sorry. I need to check. If I find it, I share with you on this Wednesday. All right. For example, we discuss on the develop the hospital. Okay, the first thing, the changes come due to the authorities. When we start the planning or initiating process, the planning and all that, we not not in our minds, or we're not aware about this, which is any hospital that we want to charge people, they are forced under categories of private hospital. Unfortunate for the hospital UiTM, because we also charge people for those who get a specialist service from the specialist. So because of that, UiTM, you know, when we started to develop UiTM, we are in the situations where our country using this what we call it the GST, GST. So specialists cannot apply, cannot charge in cannot give any charge to the patients. If charged, they need to use they need to put the GST on it. So what happened, because of this GST, we need to get the permission from the government to charge. The GST is not simply charge. We need to get the government and all that, and then is the direct us, our teams, to apply from the what we call it the CCAP, Cawangan Khas Amalan Perubatan. So we need to go through the CCAPs in order to get the approval, and then we can start to develop the hospital. Actually, when we start the process of applying to the CCAP, our constructions already start, because we know this is a bit late, and then the process of construction already start. We already complete our piling. We also complete our what they call it, the base, our base, so already complete. So then we got the comment from the CCAPs. So then we need to change a lot of things. We need to change. For example, room size, we need to change. The T corridor. The T corridor is where the corridors that they used to tray or to take out the waste from the medical waste. We call it the medical waste from the operation theatre rooms to the place where we store the waste, they call it clinical waste. Because clinical waste, as you know, that this is include a part of human bodies during the operations, and maybe they take out, and then the family doesn't want to take it, or the things, the item, or the parts that we found from the human bodies. So already complete the forensics part. So we need to handle it through the clinical waste management. So this, they have some sort of special corridor to bring this from the OT room. So what happened? We are not this not in our plan. So we need to change. When we change this, we change everything. The size of room also change. The process, when we piling and we start to put a structure. So a lot of things we need to change. So the changes have happened. So that's why in the project we need to have a very frequent meetings when we found it, and then we need to change, we need to discuss, and then everybody need to agree with the changes, and then we can change. Especially on the civil engineers, we need to get the permission from them whether we change this is a fact the calculation for the structure or not. All right. For my mechanical case last time, we found that the main hole been designed, consultant designed the main hole inside the buildings. So I request for changes because for me it's not supposed to happen when supposed to happen for main hole inside the buildings. If anything stuck, inside the manhole, you just imagine the gas come out from the methane gas or whatever gas come out from the manhole. We smell very smelly, and then we give a bad image to our hospital. So I also request for the changes. So through the meetings, and then we request. And then lesson learned, how can the historical information be used? What information will be collected? So we must know what is information that we want to keep, or historical information that we use in the lesson learned, and then what information we can collect. So when I have several projects that are involved with these 5 years with the development office. So as a mechanical head, so I involved with a lot of projects. So a lot of lessons learned from me. The first lesson learned is related to the room data sheets. When any new projects running, the room data sheet is one of the, as a client, room data sheet is the things that I always hold and then use this as an evidence to, and if any disputes comes after that, so I use the room data sheets to check whether what is promised by the contractor before the project running, and then what happened to the site in the current. So I use that as a, what we call it, the document that I referred many times. So that is a lessons learned because of my first project. They didn't make a proper room data sheets. So if they don't have a proper room data sheet, because I take this project from someone, so this guy doesn't prepare, or they not instruct the contractor to prepare the contractor or consultant to prepare the room data sheet in the proper form. So it's very difficult for me if I found that this is against the, because mechanical, especially on the firefighting system, some of them is against the what we call it, the normal practice, and then when I check, I ask them to give me the room data sheet, then I can check whether this is, for example, fire extinguisher, is it enough or not? What you promise, is it this huge of hall? Is it only one you promise fire extinguishers? Because you have 2 exit, for example, to entrance, you have 2. So is it enough? So I need to check the room data sheet. Based on the bomba requirements, is it enough? Yes, enough. But based on the normal practice, this is not good practice. So that's why we need to check. And then start from that. That is a good lessons for me. I use that lessons learned for the following project. So improve, and then I think the hospital project is the ones that we use all those lessons learned from other sites, and then we implement to the hospital project, and then we can see the positive on the hospital project, especially on the quality, on the disputes process, when any dispute, so easily for us to refer and then to ask the contractor to do if we are right, and then if we are and then easy to accept if we already promised to them and then we forgot, and then anybody can check that it's a good on the things using the room data sheets. And then these room data sheets are actually the proper normal project, they have a room data sheet, but whether you keep it in the proper ways or not, document it in the proper way or not. Okay. All right, benefits. How it will be reported, whether it is a project benefits, when it will be realized, certain process is benefits. Like I say, room data sheet is a very benefit to the clients and also to the contractor. So this is our document that everybody will refer if any dispute. Okay, at the end of the project, each phase of iteration, that is a benefits that we can record. All right, in the project integration management, in terms of agile or adaptive process, team member are considered a domain expert and determine integration, control in the detailed plans, and then determine the outputs and the integrated plan. Okay, this is for the team member. For the project manager, they create the collaborative environment for team and the stakeholder, and then they also facilitate with the business owner. So normally the project manager will report to the sponsor or the business owner, and then the team member will report to the project manager, and then they will do a work for the works that given by the project manager. So, all right. Now we go to the process of the project integration management. Look at this. We have the in total 7 process, which is the red one referred to the initiating. After that, the planning in the blue one, orange in the executing, green in the monitoring and control, and then the purple for the close phase or closing projects. Okay, closing. Okay, initiate, planning, execute, monitoring, and closing. So complete 5 in this process of the project integration management. All right. First, we go to the first process. We call it the project, develop the project charter. Okay. We're going to develop the project charter. What is a project charter? In other words, is a proposal. Proposal that we present to our boss. This we call it the project charter. Okay. All right. All right. In the project charter, the definitions of the project charter is to develop the project charter implies workings with the stakeholder to create the project charter, the foundations of document for the project. Project charter is the foundation, the baseline of the project. All right, in the project charter will provide the political. Political doesn't mean the political that's parties, party political. This is a political means that how it governs the projects, the process. And then financial support for the project, telling everyone in the company why the project is needed. We need to give the company member know why this project are needed, and providing the project manager authority to manage the project. Okay, we give the full authority to the project manager. All right, this is what we define as a project develop the project charter. All right, in all process we have what we call it the input, the tools and techniques, and also the output. The first one is the input. So any process we must involve with the input, tools that we use, and then what is outputs that come out from this process. Okay, the first process to develop the project charter. What we need in the to develop the project charter? One, we need the business documents. We must have this when we start the project charter. Before we prepare the proposal, we must have this. One, we call it the approval business case. This must be approved first before we start. So when we develop the project charter, we must get the permissions first. We are not just do the project charter just for fun, and then without see any clear direction, for example. So we approval business case, content information such as we must do a study on the market demand. We want to put into the in terms of business document. When we develop the project charter, we must have the market demand. And then what is our organization needs? Okay, I make an example for the hospital project. Because the hospital project complete, when we talk about the project, develop the project charter, I can tell you everything all listed here. Contain the information such as a market demand. We define to the government that the demand is very high in Puncak Alam. Why? Because of in the Kuala Selangor district, they don't have any hospital that complete with all facilities needed as a, for example, General GH, Kuala Lumpur, or hospital Kelang, for example, but this Kelang also not complete. Hospital Pulau Pinang, for example, very complete. I think Kelang more or less. Shah Alam, they have certain they cannot do. Shah Alam. So market demands, yes, we have a demand. Organization need, for sure we need the hospital because we have the cost, what we call it, the medicine, medical costs, pharmacies, dentists. So we have all these. So if your ITM have their own hospital, so all these students come from the pharmacies, students come from the dentistry, for example, and then students come from the medical, applied sciences, health faculties. So they can use this hospital as the place where they do the industrial training, or we call it the interns. That is the organization needs. And then we can give our student first-hand experience in hospital, especially for medical students. So that before this, we use other hospital. We need to share with Hospital Sungai Buloh, the government hospital, for certain subject, such as forensics. Because your ITM hospital last time we don't have forensics. Very basic medical that time, and then we have a private wing which is a very expensive, and student also not use that as a place for study, and the private units in the Hospital Sungai Buloh. All right, next we have a customer request. Is there any request? Yes, we have a lot of requests from the people in the Kuala Selangor district. Kuala Selangor, daerah Kuala Selangor, they don't have this hospital. So the request from the people in the Puncak Alam, for example, they want to have their hospital close to their house, because so far they need to go to Sungai Buloh, is also far from their house, and then or they need to go to Kelang, which is a very crowded hospital. And then technological and advancements. What is the current technologies? Are we put the technologies in our projects? For example, hospital, yes, we use all the equipments in the hospital, actually the latest one, I can say. And then very advanced technology. We have a robot for surgeries. We have CT scan. We have MRI machines. So we have a lot of very specific software machines. And then it's very expensive for sure. Okay, legal requirements, this one for sure we have. Ecological replacements. In case of project hospital, we don't have ecological replacement since we have our own land and all that. Social needs, sure, social needs. If you go to hospital, we can see how hospital been developed. I think the most beautiful hospital ever I have ever seen in this country, in Malaysia. If you go to Japan, you can see a lot more hospitals. They have a very good. But in Malaysia, I think the hospital UiTM Puncak Alam was the most beautiful hospital in this country. If you have time, you can go and visit the hospital Puncak Alam. Very colorful, with a theme of Zam-Zam molecule. If you look at the hexagons there, this is not just a hexagons, but this is a represent the Zam-Zam molecule. So that is a social needs, and then the benefits management plan. Okay, agreements. So we use the agreement. We can look into the agreements that we have. Okay, state intentions, and then the contract, memorandum of understanding MOU, service and legal SLA, email. This is agreement. The agreement, for example, the agreement from our institutions or our company and financial bodies, banks and all that. So we need to have the service legal agreements, for example, for instance, memorandums, or we call it. Okay. And then, in terms of enterprise environmental factor, the inputs, this is all input. This is document that we need when we develop the project charter. We must have the agreement, a state of intention, what we intend to do for this project, and then we must have the contract, the inputs of the MOU if we have. So the contract, what is written in the contract, for example. So all this we must consider when we do it. And then enterprise environmental factor, they have a lot of enterprise environmental factor, but we choose only 3 here for this kind of developed project charter. The inputs that we need is the governance and industrial standard. We listed before. What is the industrial standard that we want to follow? Any ISO, any other standard, the ISO normally. Okay, and then we have a market conditions. Whether we have a market condition or we don't have a market condition, so we must put as an input. Normally we put when we have a market conditions and then we got a good result, then we tell people lah. If not, we not. That is normal for human. So the market conditions we put in the charter. What market say? If based on our survey, it shows that 88% from our survey agree to have this project running, and then they are allowable. They are not allowed, or they show their willingness to accept these projects because of maybe the needs of the projects, maybe this thing that they are waiting so far. All right. Next is a political climate. So we must know what is the current situation, what is the political situation in at the place where we do the project, for example. So inside the inputs of the project development, project charter, we must know all these input. Okay, right. Organizational process asset. The policies, we need to know, you put the policies as an input, procedure, process that we have. We must clearly state what is our reporting method, whether monthly reporting, 3-month reportings. Okay. Have you heard this? And PMC. Okay, if in the project they have this PMC, this is stand for project ni M management Uish. Control. Okay. Project management control. So this is we put how we going to report method using this. The PMC is one place where we report the progress. So we have a communication plan. So this is we need to discuss by putting all those stakeholders, the important stakeholders. We have a lot of stakeholders. Some of them are not really important. Okay, stakeholder. All right. Any question you can stop me and then you can ask. Tak payah tunggu sampai habis. Alright, the business case. What is business case? We want to know what is a business case. The business case is a consists of business need. The business need. Keperluan. Itu tu, business need. And the cost benefit analysis. Kita nak buat project. We want to run the project. We must know what is the business need. What is a cost benefit analysis? Whether we do this cost benefit analysis, then the output for the cost benefit analysis, for sure we know whether this project feasible or not feasible. Is it give us the very fast returns of investment, for example. Okay. Some of the project might not be good in terms of cost benefit analysis. Because this is the policy, government policy push to start, and then yeah, they do, but without the good cost benefit analysis. All right, so now create by requesting the parties as a result of market demand. So what is a market demand? Organization need, technological advancements, legal requirement, ecological impacts, and the social needs. That we spark under the market demand. So under the identified option, do nothing. This is what happened. Option that we have. I think you all also know, you all also aware about this. Identify the option. Instead of do something, do nothing. Malay always said like this. If you know, not Malay, actually this is global motivators. If you know one, maybe you will know that you don't know two. Tahu satu, rupanya kita tak tahu dua. If you know two, maybe you don't know 3, 4, 5. Okay. So sentiasa lagi banyak kita baca, more you read, more you don't know. So in order to avoid from you don't know, you do nothing. No need to read, no need to write, no need to check with a member. So do nothing, do nothing. Running the business as usual, without changing anything. So that is the best option. Do minimums to address the problem and opportunity. This is another option, which is this option we not accept. Do more than one minimum works to address the problem. We try to avoid this. Avoid this. One of the motivators, English persons, one of the motivators, what they said that is if people like to avoid or they give a lot of reasons for any works, means that people are not working. just put the reasons. Not good based on these reasons. That is the things that we try to avoid. Okay, the business case created by the requesting parties as a result of recommendations, implementation timeline. We have a timeline, implementation approach. Okay. So the process that defines the process on how benefit will deliver. The benefits, target benefits that we have. Tangible. When we start run the project, we must know whether it is tangible or intangible. Second one is intangible. Sesuai tak sesuai? Sesuai tak sesuai? Tangible or intangible? Alright. Target benefits. Right. When we talk about the projects, benefits of project, whether it's tangible or intangible. This is happen during this when people start to run the projects during the pandemics, for example, because they don't know what happens. So the project will be delayed. So they do analysis on the tangible or intangible. So they don't seize this kind of the pandemics. So now the project become no longer benefits because of so if you look at the first, so mungkin before pandemic tu kita rasa benda tu memang tangible lah, very tangible. Now become the intangible. Okay, look into the strategic alignment. Normally we have two parties, we combine with we call it a partner, a business partner, then we have a strategic alignment. The time frames, this is sure, benefit of the management plan, we have a good time frame, so means that we have project phase by phase, we can control that short term or the long term time frame. We can put the short term time frame, or we can put as a long term time frame. So this will benefit the owner. Management plan is will benefit the owner. So if you have projects, so make sure this will be benefit to the owner. And then we also have a metric, direct or indirect measure. What is assumptions that we put, and then what is a risk. Ada soalan nak tanya regarding to the benefits and management plan? Tak ada. Fazlan, okey Fazlan?
Banyak sangat teori-teori dia, saya pun tak kena ni lah. Saya rasa macam mana nak, dia fikir macam mana nak jawab periksa ni.
Lot of theory, but it's a common sense theory. Lot of theory, for sure, a lot of theories. What we practice normally in the current practice, actually we are not following what supposed to do lah in the projects. That is what the project management all about. This is not specific, Fazlan. We have a cost which is specific for the construction, but normally we give this cost for the UIT and staff lah. That one is very focused on the project, which is a construction project. But we not here. We give a theory because this is what supposed to be lah. All right. The agreements, look into the agreements. All projects we have the agreement. whether the project is related to the construction project or production project, manufacturing project, whatever project that we have, we must have the agreements. For sure, we have the agreements. So, the agreements of the projects can be in form of contract. This is normal. We can see the contract. So that is one type of agreement. That is normal lah, contract. Document contract. Fadlan maybe familiar lah. Siapa yang buat project who involved with the construction project, for sure we have a contract. After we bind the contract, and then we can start the project. Then we also have the agreement in terms of MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. So we have a contract, we have Memorandum of Understanding. SLA, Service Level Agreement. Service Level Agreement, so SLA. And then we have a letter of agreement.
Dr. Azli.
Yeah.
Contract must be within two parties or can be from single party?
Contract.
Because SLA, Service Level Agreement, sometimes
Service
comes
Level
from
Agreement,
single party.
one party only.
So means this one party also considered as contract?
Actually, the SLA signs will be offered by one and then signed by another party. So still consider two. Issued by one and then agreed. The signs agreements is another party. So still consider two because one is a party or issues the SLA. Okay. So contract must be two lah. One of the who give a contract and then one is the agreement. So two parties lah. Okay, letter of agreements, LOA. Letter of intent, LOI. This is similar. Service of level agreement, LOI, LOA. This is all one issue, one agree. Okay. Letter of agreement, letter of intent. Verbal agreement also consider. This is in construction, Malaysian. For example, verbal agreement, we have what we call SIPA. Okay, this is the contract. If any dispute happen, we can bring to this for judgment under SIPA. So the SIPA also accept the verbal agreement. What is a verbal agreement? Let's say I call the Fazlan. Fazlan, can you tomorrow can you do this for me? And then with this can you help me to do this project? And then Fazlan asked how much. I said that okay, this is I'll give you around 50k for example. The small project 50k. Just become my subcontractor. This is just through phone, through phone. It's not written in WhatsApp and no. It's just through phones, and then we have a meeting, just offer verbally. And then the Fadlan came and then do jobs, completes the job, completes everything, and then Fadlan want to claim. So I said no, we don't have any black and white. Call or discuss in the coffee shop also consider as the agreement. But it's very difficult to prove lah. Very difficult to prove. But if we see the projects running, so actually we can claim. I still remember one of my close friend, also my school friend. We are play football in the same teams when I was at school, under 14. Wakil sekolah lah masa tu. So bila after I come back from my PhD, I meet him. Kau rumah kami pun tak jauh, dekat dia. So I just meet him and then I asked him lah. But I know that he have one company, company who involved with electrical lah, cable, underground cable, and also the wirings and all that. He did a lot. And then when I meet him in 2013, when I just come back from Japan, so I saw that he likes not, you know, not as a normal lah. Look like have a lot of problems and all that. And then he tell me that actually he already bankrupt lah, bankrupt. Why? Because of the verbal agreements, So one colleagues, his colleague lah, in this project offer him to do a wiring for, I think, about 3 or 4 MRSM. He got this guy got a contract with MRSM to install these wirings for the old MRSM yang dah lama-lama lah. So rewiring the MRSM, and then also he said that they have a project which is a new MRSM. So he used their own saving lah to start the project and then do everything, because it depends on the claim, right? So when the project complete, this guy doesn't pay to him. So that's why bankrupt bankrupt. He don't have money to pay workers and all that, and then close dia punya business, shop, everything close lah. And then semua lah dia memang dah, tapi dia tak boleh sampai not until the court lah. Tapi but saving everything's gone lah, tak ada apa dah, habis, miskin tu, jatuh miskin lah. Nak jadikan cerita, his wife tu working lah, nasib baik working lah, so can support the family. So my friend, so when I meet him, so I talk about this CIPA lah, CIPPA, construction agreements ni kan. So he said that he don't know that verbals also can consider as a agreements. So how to prove the verbal agreements when you do works means that somebody will ask you to do lah. That's why the agreements that. So you will win the court without recording and all that. Still can get the you still can win in the court. So ingat siapa ada project, the CIPA is one of the process lah for the verbal agreement. And then we have an email, okay, as usual we use an email. We send the email, and then this person who received the email said that I agree, so that contract already bound in the constructions. So in case of the external customer, a contract should be used. External customer, a contract for sure. Who's the external customer? We are part of external customer for the telecommunications company. When you buy the service from the telecommunications company, so they ask us to fill a form, and then that is an agreement actually. That is a contract. Ada certain phone, they say that okay, you can use this kind of price, but means that the contracts are already stated there. For example, let's say I use a Wi-Fi. So during the upgrading, because I start to pay the Wi-Fi Unify in my house, started with 30 Mbps. That time the 30 megapascal Mbps is about 170 something. That is back in 2013. So after that they increased to 50 Mbps, increased to 100. But my payments are fixed. Until now I got around 800 Mbps in my house, but I still pay the same amount. Still pay the same amount. But with a contract, I cannot terminate for 2 years. Later, if they increase again, I think I need to remains the contract. I cannot terminate and all. So that is what written in the contract. Okay, factor that may surround and influence the project success, cultures and structure, industry standard, government policy regulations. This is what we put under enterprise environmental factor. Infrastructure. In our developed chapter, we must know the infrastructure. Then we must declare in our project charter what is infrastructure needed. Human resource, for sure. Personnel administration, there's also, of course, personnel administration, human resource. Company work authorization system. And then the marketplace conditions. All right. Okay. All these under the environmental process, enterprise environmental factor. So we also have a stakeholder, risk tolerance, commercial database, and project management information system. Stakeholder tolerance. Alright. Ada soalan tak so far? Tak ada. Alright, we move to the organization process asset. What we need in the to develop the project charter? We need the standard process. What is the process that we use? The guidelines from the institution. We must tally to the guideline. The template, if any. If you don't have a template, you can use. But the government, for sure, they have their own templates. Okay, so we follow the templates. Communication requirements. Later, you see the communication requirement. What is the requirement? Who can communicate with who? Okay. Project closure requirement. Okay. Project closure requirements. Financial control procedures. This is talking about the control. Issues and defect management procedure. And that one, the input, we not put all those inside the charter, but how we return our charter and then include all those things inside the charter. We make a summary, concluding remarks for that, or we just put the data to support our arguments on the issue, on the financial, on the project closure requirement. Okay, change control procedure. So this is must be clear, change control procedures. How, if any changes, what the highest authorities that we need to declare the changes? Is it up to the project manager? Or maybe we can go as far as to the sponsor. That's why in UiTM we have a PMC, Project Management Controller. This is one of committee that always looking into the issues that happen in the construction, and then this board or this body will declare whether the changes can be made or not through the control procedures. If you look at the control procedure, yes, we can do some changes here because of that, and then normally this committee will agree, and then the changes can be done. All right. Risk control procedure. Risk control procedure also. Approval procedure. How approve can be done. The procedure. Okay. Corporate knowledge database. Last is the lesson learned. What we learn from this process. So the lesson learned. The lessons learned from the previous project and then become the input for this project charter. All right. To develop the project charter, what tools that we use? Okay. started from here. So we have the expert judgment, data gatherings, interpersonal and team skills, and also the meeting. Alright, for the expert judgment, kenapa kita panggil expert judgment as a tools? Tools not only machines. This also can consider as tool. So what expert judgment can help us during the development of the project charter? So already stated here, they say that the expert judgment can be other people in the organizations. Consultants, for example, stakeholders, professionals or technical association, industry groups, SMEs, and project management office. Okay, the data gatherings, the tools that we use, the first is expert judgment, just to help us on how to run this, to develop the project charter. The second one, the inputs that we have are data gatherings. The tools that we use is the data gathering. So under the data gathering, we have a brainstorming. So what is a brainstorming? Identify a list of ideas in the short time. We have a lot of ideas, and then in the short time, so we use the data gathering. We call it a brainstorming. The second one is the focus group. Through the data gathering, what we have a focus group, gathering the SMEs, the stakeholders, to assess the risk, success criteria, problem solving, and etc. Data gathering also we have an interview. In the interview, we have obtained the high level requirements, assumptions, constraints, and then we also have the negotiation if we have the data gathering. Alright, next is the interpersonal and team skill. Interpersonal and team skill. So the tool that we use first is the conflict management under the interpersonal and team skill. So we must manage the conflicts, conflict management, which is this conflict management will help to bring the stakeholders to align with the requirement. And then to define the success criteria. What do you mean by the success? We need to define it. Alright, facilitation. We need to facilitate the young, to facilitate the people. This is facilitation. Effectively guides to the decision making, solutions and conclusions. All contributions has been considered. And then we have a meeting management. So identify the stakeholders, prepare the agenda, sense meaning, and follow up. Sometimes we call it the interpersonal skills, and the team management we call it the interpersonal team skills. Sorry. Under meeting management, under the interpersonal and team skill, under the meeting management, what we call it as SMEs, SMEs. Okay. Not small, medium enterprise, but is a subject matter expert. Executive committee meetings normally identify the stakeholder, or we call it the subject matter expert meetings. So to identify the stakeholders, to prepare the agenda, to send minutes, and to follow ups. And then the meetings, we run the meetings. So with that inputs and outputs, we come up with the output. Input and the tools, we come up with the output. In output, we have two. One is the project charter, and then one is the assumption log. For sure, we have a project charter. So the project charter issued by the project sponsor. This is the output that we got. So whatever you do in the project charter, you must declare to the sponsor, because sponsors will give you money and permission. So in the project charter, formally announce the projects and the project manager. So in the project charter also, the stakeholders will announce the project and the project manager. Assumption log define high level strategy. Okay. Record the assumptions constraint, and then this assumption log we use throughout the project. Okay, ada soalan tak setakat tu? Alright. This is outline for the project charter. Bila we develop the project charter, we must have the project title, project description, business case, project goals and objective, product description and expectation, pre-approved financial resources. This is element setiap semester, every sem I talk about this. But when come to the charter, quite disappointed lah. They don't follow this. Key stakeholders, you need to define who's your key stakeholders. Constraints and assumptions. What is high level deliverables? High level schedule. Estimate the budget. High level risk. Okay. High level risk include the risk management procedures kat sini. Project manager assign an authority set level sets.
Okay.
Yeah.
High level schedule.
High level. Macam mana?
Schedule. High level schedule.
High level
Schedule.
schedule. Alright.
Mana nak define?
High level schedule is a complete schedule lah. Schedule yang kita buat tu.
Tak, define high level tu macam mana?
High
So
level
the high
is a
level
complete schedule lah. It's not schedule. Then we have a schedule on phase by phase. Schedule or schedule yang not complete schedule lah. Schedule satu proses tu dia boleh jadi satu schedule. So high level schedule is a complete schedule lah. Bila kita start sampai kita akhir buat this activity. Tapi kalau dalam charted, normally people didn't put this high level schedules ni. They just put the just a simple schedule. So when it's the more on the plannings lah. Just use a Gantt chart.
Macam milestones punya Gantt chart cukup lah.
Actually, we want to know what these activities occurs during to complete the project. Okay.
So they don't put everything, but they put the critical points or milestones.
Yes, critical elements. CPM critical path lah. Okay. And then they must have a signature of the project sponsor. If I give the project and later in the assignments, anybody can sign lah in terms of the project sponsor. Key stakeholder signature. Key stakeholder signature is normally, for example, there's someone in the committee, approval committee, so they put the signature there. All right, the next for output is the assumption log. What we going to log? to capture the document track assumption throughout the project lifecycle. So first assumption log, we put the ID. So each assumption should have a corresponding ID number. And then the category here, this should list what portions of the project the assumption impact. And then we put the assumptions, define the assumption on this column. In this column, normally people put the good assumption after you need this. We assume we got the ROI this. They don't put the negative one in the assumption. If negative one, normally project for sure the project will not run. Responsibility. So assumption should be assigned to a team member to validate. Okay. Due date. When is the due date? When is the status, and then what is the actions? Okay.